Joe Biden has got a long history of making racist comments, right? Remember, Barack Obama's the first clean, articulate black. What? It's amazing this guy became president and Barack Obama's vice president after saying stuff like that. And it could go on, right? Put you all back in chains and blah, blah, blah. So now he comes out and he made a comment about Maryland's new governor, who is black, Wes Moore. And here is how that went.
And you got a hell of a new governor in Wes Moore, I tell you. He's the real deal, and the boy looks like he can still play. He got some guns on him.
Okay, did you hear that? The boy looked like he could still play. Now, if Donald Trump did this, it would be the lead on every cable news show in America, including definitely Don Lemon's. Bub kiss, though, right? So far, no problem. And by the way, it's not the first time that Joe Biden has referred to a black man as boy. So, what do we make of it?
Well, this is actually, there's a funny read on this. I mean, he's done this forever. I mean, in 2006, he said something like, you cannot even go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. He plays with stereotypes these way, outdated ones. And actually, I hate to say this, I actually think it works to his advantage somewhat. It's disrespectful in my view, but it actually is one of the reasons why the woke brand doesn't stick to him, right? His administration may be doing everything it can to promote wokeness in education, higher education, in employment through civil rights, Title VII litigation, et cetera. But he is obviously one of these old school politicians who thinks that the way to get to office is to flatter ethnic stereotypes wherever you find them, and no matter how crude they are. And it's not going to change because of his age. But I weirdly think this plays to his advantage. People, no one ends up actually taking offense, except Republicans who think, like, if we had said this, we'd never get away with it. But he does. Yes. I mean, like, he said all those crazy things about Black Americans, and yet Black Americans were his strongest constituency in the primaries that led to his nomination. Possibly because they too are attached to kind of an older cultural politics. So I think this is a weird double-edged sword for him. I can't believe it. Like, my jaw hits the floor just like everyone else. But there's this weird way where, people let him get away with it, partly because he's a decrepit old man, right? Like, what else do you expect from him?
Also because most of this wokeness is performative, Jim Geraghty. Like, they only use it to hurt people they want to hurt, and generally it's somebody across the political aisle. Most of it is an act used to punish one's enemies as opposed to genuine indignation over a comment. That's why these woke leftists are not going to say anything about him referring to a black governor as boy.
Yeah, look, many folks on the right have observed, accurately in my opinion, that once you have that D after your name, you have this magic shield that protects you from all the consequences of your actions and things that you say. Michael mentioned that rather infamous one during his 2008 campaign where he talked about, you cannot go into a 7-Eleven unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'd urge people to go back and watch the C-SPAN clip of this, because it's not like the Indian American gentleman he's speaking to brought up his heritage or ethnicity or anything like that. He just has a Biden sign, and he clearly just wants to talk to Biden. And the first thing out of Biden's mouth is 7-Eleven. It really is kind of this like hideously stereotype. Like you can only imagine how that guy must have felt that he's meeting Joe Biden and clearly wants to talk to him about something related to politics in the campaign. And Biden wants to talk to him about convenience stores. It's really kind of this, obnoxiously condescending thing. But I think that the common thread that runs through all of Biden's comments that are at minimum racially insensitive and tin-eared, and others would argue racist, is that Joe Biden walks around convinced other people just love him, just adore him, can't get enough of him, and that everything he says is golden. And so that's why he can say to Charlemagne the God, who was during that infamous interview during the most recent presidential campaign, that radio host was saying, you really haven't answered all my questions. I'd really like to have you back on the show so we can discuss this further. And that's when Biden unloads if you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. And Biden is just convinced he can get away. We're all buddies. I can decide who's black and who isn't. Me, whereas, extraordinarily white Joe Biden. That's why I suspect why Jill Biden can give speeches where she talks about Mexican Americans as burritos or something like that. Like they're really
sweet little tacos.
People just love them, and they can get away with anything because of that.
Look, you did the tough thing during COVID. You paid your people and pulled your business through the pandemic. And now doing the tough thing could qualify you for up to $26,000 per employee at covidtaxrelief.org. Government funds are available right now to reward companies with 2 or more employees who stayed open during COVID. This is not a loan, and you don't have to pay it back. The program's complicated, but no one knows more about it than the CPAs and tax experts at covidtaxrelief.org. You pay nothing up front, they do all the work, and then they share a percentage of the cash they get you. Businesses of all types, including nonprofits and churches, can qualify, including those who took PPP loans, even if you had increases in sales. You did the tough thing for your employees during COVID. Let covidtaxrelief.org help you. In particular, help you get up to $26,000 per employee. Visit covidtaxrelief.org, covidtaxrelief.org, covidtaxrelief.org. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.